Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. Ambika Sampath, and I am the facilitator for today's Healthy Relationships Program Masterclass. Welcome. It's an absolute delight to have you all here today. In the words of Gorgopal Das, you are your most important project. If you are in place, everything else you want to do will be in place. And the fact that you prioritize showing up here today is testament to your interest, your investment, and your intention in becoming the most optimal version of yourself. And in today's session, we will give you the opportunity to do just that. We will have you go through exercises, so keep a pen and paper ready to do some introspection, to really reflect on certain aspects of life, as well as apply some tools real time. We will also talk about the Healthy Relationships Program that is coming up to give you the opportunity to go deeper on these conversations. Get yourself on a program which is 11 weeks long and work with myself and a coach to really transform your most important relationship, which is your relationship with yourself. With that created, why do we do what we do? Here is a bit about me. This is 2013. My husband and I are in Edinburgh. We were living in London at that point of our lives, newly wed, enjoying life that first year where everything felt like an extended honeymoon period. We've been dating for 8 years prior to that, so we'd known each other long enough. And both of us were born and raised in Zambia. Once I left Zambia at the age of 15, I moved to New Zealand with my family, and then Australia, where I went on to do my doctorate in gynecology and obstetrics, and then London, where I worked at St. Thomas's Hospital, and then moved into the impact investing industry, where I stayed for about 8 years. And in that first year of our wedding, I am excited because it's my birthday weekend and my husband has planned this romantic weekend away. But not only was it my birthday, we also were pregnant. We were having our 12-week scan, the first scan on my birthday that weekend. And so we were excited, ecstatic, couldn't wait to break the great news to our loved ones. And on the Saturday of that weekend, as we're walking around Edinburgh, there's a fringe festival happening, which happens once a year. I start to experience some real intense cramping in my abdomen. I say to my husband, we need to head back. And as we head back to the hotel room, I very quickly start bleeding really heavily. And what we then get to witness was perhaps the most emotionally and physically traumatic experience of our life up until that point. We witnessed the passing of our fetus that confirmed a miscarriage having taken place. Absolutely inconsolable, not knowing how to deal with emotions. We did what most human beings are trained to do. Cried, and then wiped our tears the next day, got on the train, and came back to London. And processed the emotions in all the different ways we knew we could, in silence, not talking about it, in tears, in silence, and then just carrying on with life. And the next day on Monday morning, I was ready to go to work. And I called my manager just to let him know what had happened. And he said to me, I'm not expecting you back at work. Take as much time as you need off to deal with this. And that was a real unusual conversation. I had not given myself the space or time to process emotions in that way. What did he mean by take as long as I needed to? However, fortunately, both my husband and I at that point of our lives were going through a 3-month leadership program, a personal development course outside of our day jobs. Both of us had our respective coaches, and it was weekly seminars in the city of London. And we had our own coaches. We got to share this phase of our life with, this chapter, this real heartbreaking incident with. And my coach got me to really weed out the emotions that I didn't even know I was sitting on. That week, when we had our leadership class on the Thursday, I was invited by the program leader who knew exactly what we were going through to come up in front of the class and share what we had gone through. A complete pattern interrupt, because we don't operate that way as adults, especially not in a leadership course where there's 80 other leaders from across London and some are coming from across Europe weekly to participate in this program. In that room, you want to put your best foot forward. And there I was, stood on the mic and shared what we had just gone through a few days ago. And I sobbed like a 5-year-old girl. And as I looked up, having shared our story, not a single dry cheek existed in that room. And after the class, at the end of the evening, a number of people came up to me and said they had been through something similar. They had had miscarriages. And ironically, while My background and my doctorate is in gynecology and obstetrics. I never trained nor taught nor even ventured into understanding the emotional journey of women or women who deal with pregnancy complications and or miscarriages. So when the midwife said to me, 1 in 4 pregnancies are miscarriages, that statistic did not make me feel any better. In fact, it fed into an existing narrative of something's wrong with me. Why me? And that weekend, when we were in Edinburgh, all my loved ones called me to wish me my birthday from across the world. I've lived across 4 continents, and I love keeping in touch with all of my close girlfriends and friends and family and soul family that we created. I had to say two things in a sentence that I'd never said before. One, we're pregnant. And two, we had a miscarriage. Both equally heartbreaking. And what I found out at that point really shook me to my core. A number of my girlfriends across New Zealand, Australia, boarding school, I was in Indian boarding school, shared that they had gone through miscarriages themselves a few years ago. Now, my husband and I were the last amongst our social circles across different spaces to get married. So many of our friends had by then gotten pregnant, had their firstborn. And so when my girlfriend shared that news with me, I was really shocked because I really had it that no distance, no continent separation ever came between our closeness. But clearly, something had come in between our closeness because they hadn't shared with me what to me was my most traumatic experience, and they likely would have gone through similar emotions. But as I delved into this and studied it further, what I understood by working with my coach was that the only reason I got to share what I shared was because I had a coach. And that coach gave me access to get connected to emotions I never would have gotten connected to, and I really would have brushed them off or suppressed them deep down and carried on with life, and it would have exploded and erupted at some later stage of my life, either in the form of disease or mental stress or any other way. Number two, I got that when I get to share that vulnerably, it's not a sign of weakness, it's actually a sign of enormous courage. And that when I share vulnerably, it gives others permission to lean in and do the same. And number three, I got that I actually have a voice to share a narrative. And if I can impact people in the way I just have over the last few days by sharing our journey, then surely I can make a bigger difference. But that became really the path I chose to then pursue and began this inquiry of why and how are human beings the way we are? How do we end up being these personas where we tell the world we have it all together, and look how great I am, and look how fantastic my life is. We have an amazing apartment in West Kensington, and these great salaries, and these amazing jobs, and these amazing titles, and these really glossy resumes. But deep down, we feel not enough, and useless, and worthless, and stupid, and dumb, and uncool. And as I began that exploratory journey, 3 years after we actually had the miscarriage, we had our firstborn. And the first year of being a new mom and experiencing interaction with our firstborn, what I got to see was extraordinary. I got to see this human being who hasn't even developed verbal communication, and yet we would be in a busy train in London or meet old family friends or just any part of the world. And everywhere this baby went, he would elicit joy in the absence of verbal communication being developed yet. I'd see the grumpiest of faces become happy and smile. I would just see people part ways in the tube to make space for us and put their phones down and their books down and the newspapers down to interact with that little soul. And I began to wonder, have I been given one of those avatar kids, one of those gifted children? Or were we all born that way and then become the adults that we are, with our fears and our likes and our dislikes and our judgments and our separateness? And the more I delved into spiritual studies and personal development programs, and then coaching, which now I've been doing for the last 10 years, coaching hundreds of lives across multiple industries and multiple continents, what I got to discover was that we are all born that way. We're an expression of love. Our core essence is love. The way the essence of fire is heat and the essence of sugar is sweetness. You can't separate the two. The core essence of what it is to be human is love. But before we hit the age of 10, we start to experience so many moments of what we perceive as young minds and young children as non-love that we don't quite know how to process those unfamiliar emotions. For example, a sibling is born, and immediately our parents' attention goes from 100% being on us to this next soul. And for the young mind, truly, you get left with, in many instances, I'm not loved anymore. Or you're picked on and laughed at by your mates. It may occur harmless to them, but to you, a young mind who hasn't quite developed emotional faculties or the biological processes to be with and experience and process those new emotions, it's a new, scary space. Our stress response kicks in, our fight or flight mechanism kicks in purely as a survival mechanism. And our mind is extraordinary. We have this incredible inner intelligence. To keep us alive, it will adapt. And the way the body adapts is by creating, in that moment, a compensatory mechanism, which is called the ego, to allow you to ride out these new belief systems that aren't true, but they become your perception, your reality, where you feel, because of different incidents, you feel either not loved, you feel like you don't belong, or you feel not worthy. And something is wrong here. And that egoic identity becomes a compensatory mechanism. So what does that look like? I'm 9 years old. We're at a family friend's place in Zambia. Huge social circles, huge social events every weekend with close to 100 plus expatriate families here in the mining industry. And every weekend there was a lunch or dinner somewhere. And we had all the parents indoors, mingling, socializing, all the kids, about 30 of us running around in these big backyards, playing hide and seek and tag. And I feel a tap on my shoulder, and the next thing I know, I'm up against a wall, and there's 5 kids who form a semicircle around me. I know them. They're my family friends, but they're older. They're 11 years old, and they're not really that close to me. There's 3 guys and 2 girls, and one of the guys in the middle steps forward and says, "Hey, I hear you're spreading rumors about me." And 9-year-old me knows I haven't said anything, but I don't have the courage in that moment to open my mouth and defend myself. And they go on talking and saying stuff. And the last thing I recall is the guy on my right-hand side says, "Look at her face. She's going to start crying." They laugh more and walk away. And I start sobbing inconsolably. And in that moment, not knowing how to deal with that huge ocean of very, very terrifying thoughts and feelings, the ego kicks in, and such a momentary, impulsive survival mechanism where the subconscious mind says, "I will not feel this way again." It creates this outer identity. And so in that moment, the very subconscious decision that was made by that fearful side of the little girl was, I'm not going to feel like a reject again. And we start using what we think will get us out of such situations to survive the situations. In my case, it was humor. And thereafter, humor became my superpower. I could make a room laugh, and I knew I could, but it got me out of feeling like that reject. Right through my teenage years, right through my 20s, I was the life of all the parties. I was the first one on the dance floor, the last one off. I was everybody's favorite niece, a granddaughter. I shone at everything that I did. And some of the things I may have generally and genuinely been good at, but the primary driving factor was to not ever feel like that reject again, to not feel inadequate, the outlier, the uncool kid on the block ever again. And that's how most human beings get to create the adulthood identities that we write out. You could be the CEO of the largest investment bank in the world, or a billionaire, or a gold medalist, or a really, really successful professional, or a great parent, a wonderful community contributor. But if what's driving you is a sense of feeling not enough, and if I do just one more thing, then I'll be enough, then consider it's not really your authentic self that's in driver's seat right now. It's your egoic identity, compensating for those formative years of experiences that you didn't quite know how to process. So what is the range of formative experiences our young minds experience? It could be just our schooling years. Our education system in and of itself comes with its own deficiencies, where in academic education, everybody is graded against each other. And so one person comes first, everybody else comes between second and last, and you're inherently left to feel not enough, right from primary school days. Or you could actually go through aggressive, unsettled childhood moments, through upbringing, abuse, such as emotional, physical, or sexual. And in all instances, whether it's that or whether it is simply the birth of another sibling or you getting a yellow toy versus your sibling or friend getting a green toy, in all instances, the biological and emotional processes that take place are the same. The sense of something is not right here and I don't belong. And then how you know that the egoic identity is running your existing adult narrative is when you are caught up in competition and comparison. How many of you compare yourself to other people? Financially, business-wise, professionally, lifestyle-wise, socially, relationship-wise, health-wise. How many of you are absolutely paralyzed based on what will people think? For my first 30 years of my existence, everything I was doing, knowingly and unknowingly, was dictated by what people will think. I lived across 4 continents. The way I walked, the way I talked, my accent, my likes, my dislikes, everything was molded around what people will think and the deep need to people please and fit in and belong. When things didn't go my way, there was a general sense of agitatedness, a sense of scarcity, me versus them. And so your self-worth, in that case, when the ego is running the show as an adult based on these fractured formative years, results in your self-worth being externalized. And look for yourself right now. Do the work with me. How many of you seek family validation, parental approval to feel like you're somebody? Or within the community, within your jobs, within your businesses, or just with the world at large? The title, that bonus, that house, that car, that body, that partner, that holiday. How many of you are seeking self-worth and self-validation in those external factors? And how many of you blame the world when things don't go as planned? It was my mother-in-law, it was my husband, it was my child, it was my neighbor, it was my boss, it was my friend. How could they do this to me? The politicians, the world, the doctors. And then to survive that external perceived calamity, you try and change your world. You change jobs, you change countries, you change partners, you change friend circles, and only to find that after a while, no matter where you go, you still feel the same emotional trend. Yes? Yeah. Because you take yourself into every room you go to. And it is within you that these realities exist, not an external factor. And so, how does the Healthy Relationships program work? It's an 11 weeks online program, and we take you through 4 levels of consciousness where you understand at a basic level, life is always happening, right? You choose how it happens. And by that, I mean the bottommost level of consciousness where I would say 90% of human beings are at currently in the world is this perception of life is happening to me. You feel like the victim. You feel you got the short end of the stick in life. And when you are in that state, consider there's dis-ease at an emotional and mental level and disease percolating at a physical level. On the program, you get to shift your perspective of every moment of your past, present, and the future you step into by getting that nothing happened to me. Everything happened, full stop, and it happened for me, i.e., it is a growth opportunity, a spiritual growth opportunity for me. And you start to intentionally start creating life in a very different way. And once you get life's happening for me at every single moment, from death to abuse, bankruptcy to financial crisis, whatever the situation may be, work deadlines not being met, failures in projects, tension in friendships, whatever it is, you get it's happening for me through this dynamic, through these exchanges. I'm discovering something about myself. And the triggers I have in this moment are exactly where I have to do the inner work. The more you operate with that as your modus operandi, the more you get to go and become a conduit for others. If I hadn't shared my narrative with my girlfriends that birthday weekend in 2013, people wouldn't have leaned in and shared their life with me. The more I got to share my journey through my heartache, the more I got to be a conduit through which others got to heal by sharing their journeys and release emotions they'd held on to for so long and didn't feel they had permission to share because society didn't work that way. And through that path of showing up as a conduit for people in your life, you get to start discovering your purpose and living at the highest level of consciousness, which is life is happening as me. And this transition has you shift from this individual existence, which is me, myself, my life, to a collective existence, which is your ultimate purpose. You were born in this physical body as a spiritual identity to connect at a collective level with human beings. No part of our existence was ever designed to be individualistic, existing in silos. We are born in order to be out there and create an impact and be of service to others, no matter what our venture, no matter what our industry, no matter whether it's within a household level, a community level, a factory, business, corporate level, or the world at large. And that journey of returning to your authentic self is the process of healing. Healing means becoming whole again. And that really has been the journey I've been on for the last decade, speaking at corporates, boardrooms, transforming my health, flipping myself inside out, and giving talks across multiple mediums, radio stations, podcast interviews, TV interviews, being nominated for different prizes, being on panels, all to have people get that you are not the narratives you say about yourself, that you get to unshackle yourself from the perception of your past and return to your authentic self, which right now, right here in this moment, is an expression of love. The separateness and the divide and the mental toxins we experience in our everyday life, the anger, the ego, the envy, the pride, the attachment, the jealousy, and that whole spectrum of negative emotions comes from dislocation from authentic self to egoic self. And a healthy relationship program gets you back to your authentic self, where you get to start living the purpose you were born to live. The Healthy Relationships program got birthed 4.5 years ago inside of FITBANKER, which is a global platform. We run numerous programs. We've been running for 10 years now, and our mission is to transform 1 billion lives, which is why your loved ones have either invited you to this or there's something that had you lean and get interested when you heard about this masterclass. And so now we will take a moment to go through a reflective exercise for yourself, where I'd like you to write down and be really straight with yourself. What's an area of your life, your relationships, that isn't working as well as you would like it to? If ever, now's the time to really look deep within, to let go of all the coping mechanisms and all the survival tools and all the ways you have tolerated the unworkability in your life, and say it as it is. When this happens, it doesn't work for me. There's a strain there. There's a relationship that doesn't work there. It could be a relationship with other people. It could be a relationship with finances. It could be a relationship with yourself. It could be multiple people, scenarios, situations, groups. It could be individuals. It could be any relationship dynamic that isn't working as well as you'd like it to. Give yourself a few moments to capture that. And once you have that written, I'd like you to put your pens down and close your eyes. We're going to do a 2-minute visualization exercise, which, if you allow yourself to do as instructed, gives you access to a whole new reality. So once you're done writing the area of life you're here to transform and would like to really cause a shift in, I'd like you to put your pens down, gently close your eyes, get comfortable. Either have your feet flat on the ground or cross-legged, whatever you're comfortable with, fold it up. Palms gently placed on your thighs, facing upwards. And keep your neck, back, and head in a straight line. And just get connected to your breathing. As you get connected to your breath, it gives you access to just sit in stillness. Our breath is our truest companion, and the first and last companion we get to experience in this physical form of our life. From the moment we're born to the moment Our soul leaves the body. Our breath is there with us every second of the way. And so as you get connected to your breath, you'll start to experience a stillness that shows up naturally. You may have thoughts coming in, just observe them and let them go. And I'd like you to observe any physical sensations now as you embark on this visualization, and just take note of them. How are you feeling physically? How are you feeling emotionally? And now I'd like you to visualize yourself 1 year from today, from this masterclass. You've woken up one morning and you experience abundance. Abundance in the form of just sheer joy as you wake up, gratitude for being alive, gratitude for waking up, gratitude for having your loved ones around you, all in great health. In all the actions you're taking are aligned with your deep passion, your deep purpose, and it's generating profit and livelihood in the most simplest way of flow, ease, and grace. Every human being you interact with, every conversation, every engagement elicits happiness, harmony, a sense of unity. You feel deeply grounded, you feel light at a physical level, you feel peaceful at an emotional level, at a mental level, you feel intentional, and there's full clarity. And you take a moment to reflect on the area of your life that you had put down in a masterclass a year ago, not working as well as you'd like it to. It's transformed completely to the degree that it's not a concern anymore for you. The concern, the tension, the unworkability has disappeared entirely. It's gone. It's become obsolete. And in its space, what you are left with is a sense of sheer abundance, gratitude, appreciation for all that you have chosen, all the steps you've taken, the path you've embarked on to really get yourself to space of feeling whole, joyous, loving, receiving love graciously, powerful, and at the same time peaceful. And as you go to sleep that night and get into bed, just reflect on all that is that you're grateful for. All the relationships that empower you every single day. All the interactions that you have that empower other human beings to be the best version of themselves. The inner stillness, the mental calm. You get to appreciate and be with life exactly as it is and exactly as it is not. Gently bring yourself back into this moment with your eyes still closed. Rub your palms together. Place them on your eyelids. Slowly open your eyes and set the intention for the rest of the masterclass by saying out loud to yourself, I surrender to creative solutions. Gently bring your palm down your cheeks, down to your heart center in the Namaste Mudra. Thank you very much and welcome back. I'd love for you to document now on your notebook or in your journal what that experience was like for you. Take a moment, pause this masterclass, and capture the emotions. At a physical level, how do you feel now? At an emotional level, how do you feel? And what was it like to experience the way of existence that you just visualized? All right. Similar to yourselves, others have embarked on this journey, come onto this masterclass and gone through the breakthroughs that they had with similar starting points to where we are today on this masterclass with all of you. And so let's hear from a few of those on this journey to commit to becoming the best version of themselves.
So I did my healthy relationship program this year, January, and that's the time I was doing my FITBANKER 90-day challenge for the second time as well. And there's a lot of stuff I got to like unearth, things that I didn't even know had an effect on me. I realized my direct and immediate reaction to anything is anger, and I got to learn a lot of tools, on about anger, about a lot of other stuff, and how to just be a happy, joyous person and the kind of mom, wife, daughter that my family needs. My family moved from India to Kenya when I was in Form 1, year 8. So being a teenager, left my friends there, made new ones here, but until I didn't know that this had a huge impact on me and my life. And like this one, there were so many other things I didn't know affected me as a person. But I got to clear all those emotions. As I said, learned a lot of tools for my future. And now I can be fun, joyful, and a happy person, to be around for my kids especially, and my husband. My communication has become amazing with my husband and other family members, but primarily husband because we're together 24/7. So yeah, life is amazing, and I think everybody should do healthy relationship program, because you don't know what is affecting you, or you don't know what is triggering all the responses that you are immediately like going into. So yeah, that's me.
I have to say that the Healthy Relationships program is probably the most valuable and important gift I've given myself this year. I didn't realize it at the time, but coming into the program, I knew I was in a very low place, but in retrospect, I can see that I was in the depths of despair, actually. I'd lost my joie de vivre, my will to live, really. I just didn't see the point of my being here on this earth. And through the program, I was just so supported and loved and encouraged. It was so multidimensional. I'm still feeling the benefit of having taken part in the program. I have a newfound joy in life, love for myself and self-compassion, and just a real passion. Yeah, I've got my mojo back. Thanks.
Amazing. How do they have the breakthroughs that they had along with hundreds others? It's basically by going through this program that has 3 stages. The first couple of weeks, we get you to unpack your identity. How did you become the way you are? Is not really just by your single lifestyle experiences that you experience in this lifetime, but generational experiences. There's emotional imprinting that happens. When you get to unpack that, you get connected to a whole different dimension of who you are and how you become the way you are. From there, we get onto healing modules, and we use 5 healers. And each week we use a different healer to really have you reconstruct your past, because there's nothing that can get created on a fractured foundation. And from there, you get to discover your purpose, your true calling, which you may or may not already be connected to. And if you are connected, you get to delve deeper. And in most instances, people aren't connected, and create a whole new reality. So I did say I want you to walk away with real tools. And so if you experience emotional vulnerability, volatility, then bringing awareness to those emotional patterns during struggles and the ability to alter that is one of the biggest takeaways. De-escalating anxiety and agitation, which most human beings around the world now are experiencing at rising rates, is something you have to powerfully address and put to rest. You get to use tools to proactively create new thought patterns that enable and empower you to overcome typical situations that upset and prevent you from moving forward. You get to transform your relationships, not by getting them on the program, but by you going through your perception of them and yourself and all the dynamics between those two worlds and experience a whole new reality. You harness peace of mind and gain the freedom of authentic self-expression. And ultimately, what everybody's seeking, you get to elevate your experience of joy, abundance, and gratitude. And so, I said I want you to walk away with standalone tools from just this masterclass. Here are 3 emotional biohacks just for you. Number 1, we have an entire module of gratitude, and people reduce gratitude just being happy and grateful and thankful for what you have in life. But actually, what we find is really, really helpful is using gratitude at multiple levels and understanding and unpacking it scientifically. So you get to be grateful. So there's 3 things. All right, so the first is gratitude. Gratitude attitude is not just being grateful for the things that are working well in your life, which also at times is difficult for people to just think about to start off with, but gratitude is an entire module where you get to scientifically understand, biologically understand what this way of thinking and this belief system can do for your biology, for your psychology, and for your mental and physical well-being. So right now, I'd like you to write down 3 things you're grateful for yourself. And for some of you, that is really difficult because you have spent a lifetime of habitual self-criticism. You heard from others while growing up and it became your reality, and you just adopted narratives that really weren't ever yours. Or you went through life and created your own self-deprecating narratives. And the biggest challenge in this day and age is we are a generation and era that have more resources than any prior generation. But our psychological problems, our mental well-being issues are on a rise because we're devoid of just understanding spiritual connectedness to ourselves. And gratitude is the highest value of all. The more you get to appreciate yourself, not in a way of arrogance, but really coming from basic humility and appreciation, the greater your focus on joy and discovering and seeing things that are working in your life will start to happen, and that in itself causes increased consciousness and raising your vibration. Number 2, list 3 things you're grateful for in advance for the life you've created. So what do I mean by that? If you are yearning for something, if you're manifesting something, be grateful for it in the current moment as if it's already happened. If it's a home you're looking for, a relationship, or tensions in a particular dynamic to go away, be thankful for it already having been transformed, for you having accomplished that property, that job, that project, the title, the bonus, the paycheck, the financial goal, the relationship status, the health, as if it's already come your way. Number 2, generate compassion towards self. I said it earlier, and I'm going to say it again for the point of emphasis, which is we are our worst critiques. We may have become a generation where we blame our parents for a lot, but consider what our parents did or didn't do to us is mild compared to how much self-loathe exists in the world today. And if you can just give yourself permission to give up wishing the path was any other way, and that you did what you did and didn't do whatever you didn't do because you had the consciousness you did, it gives you room for compassion. It gives you room for being kinder to yourself. And again, we have an entire module on compassion, and we do activation exercises where you get to activate your skin receptors through one healing modality, which is a really powerful tool to allow yourself to heal generational emotions where you keep loathing yourself and hating yourself based on narratives you hear over and over and over again. And the last is there are multiple breathing techniques we cover. Today I'm going to share one with you, which is a great one when you experience anxiety and your chest locks up and people say, oh, just pause and breathe. You physically cannot breathe in that moment because your energy fields and energy centers are shut. And what's needed in that moment is breathing coupled with movement. And so really quick breath regulator and emotional regulator in those moments of anxiety, panic attacks, is this breathing technique that I'm about to show you. If you raise your hands up, elbows to shoulder level, keep your elbows together, and when you inhale during the raise of your hands, and then exhale as you pull so raise your hands, elbows to your chin level, you raise your hands. All right. All right. So, number one, take a deep breath in, raise your hands, elbows at your shoulder level, together up front, hold your breath, inhale, and protrude the belly like a full-blown balloon, and then fully exhale, and pull those elbows all the way back. Try and have your shoulder blades kiss. Repeat that 5 times. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and do that about 10 times to begin with. You can do it for a minute, you can do it for 5 minutes, but it will alter the state of your emotions immediately. So, 3 very simple tools to give you just a snippet of what's possible in a moment by doing these 3 simple exercises and altering your emotional state. To wrap up, I'm going to invite you to join our next masterclass. Next program starts 13th of Feb. If you're ready to take on transforming aspects of yourself, recurring emotional patterns that don't serve you anymore, the ongoing stress, the agitated self, the sense of self-invalidation, not feeling enough until you accomplish something, blaming other circumstances, whatever that disruption is, get on the program. 11 live webinars with me, recordings of the webinars. You have designated weekly group coaching calls with your own coach. There'll be mini, smaller groups, and then access to a global tribe of program is £1,449 for 11 weeks. The offer that is valid just for 24 hours is £649. We have limited spots. You get access to that incredible discount by clicking on this link below, fitbanker.com/HR. Use the promo code MCPromo. Get in there now. Make this year be the best version of yourself. We get to experience love in abundance and put the past exactly where it belongs, back in the past. You get to free yourself and shackle yourself from narratives that don't serve you anymore. There are special promo offers for residents in Africa and Asia. Respond on the link below and connect with us to get those deals. Thank you so much for showing up.